Good morning. Hope you are doing so well. I'm well myself. Today I wanted to just chat with you about the counterpoints to becoming an entrepreneur. In my first book, Rich 20 Something, I I really gave a lot of I big up entrepreneurship. I gave entrepreneurship a lot of props. I gassed entrepreneurship up. And in my younger years, I almost felt like being a business owner was a moral position or a high ground of like, well, if you really understand what you're doing in life, you'd start a business. Now I don't see it that way. In fact, I strongly encourage people to not start a business, not become an entrepreneur if there's anything else they can do that will make them happy. And today I'm going to share some things, some reasons why you might not want to be an entrepreneur. The first big reason why you probably don't want to start a business of your own, well, if you don't like losing, don't start a business. Don't be an entrepreneur. You're going to lose pretty much everything you have to eventually have to rebuild it and become something more than when you started. You're going to lose a lot of sleep. You're going to lose a lot of money. You're going to lose so much time working on this. You're going to lose friends and family who just can't stick with you along the ride, and relationships, romantic relationships, partnerships. And that's because becoming an entrepreneur, you have to shed so much of the common thought process of living in the world, and you have to become someone who doesn't just consume but also creates. And I'm not saying that as a moral high ground, I'm saying that as a reality. And it's really hard to consistently put something out there and be the one who is the source for many other people in a business, even if it's not just your clients, but also your team. So if you don't want to lose a lot, including sometimes losing yourself to find yourself again, hopefully, don't become an entrepreneur. Do not become an entrepreneur if you don't want to stay up at night in bed thinking about how you're going to pay the rent or the mortgage while your partner sleeps next to you and they think that you have it all together. Do not be an entrepreneur. Do not become an entrepreneur if you don't want to sometimes have your utilities turned off and your car payment multiple payments behind, where you're getting those nasty calls. Do not become an entrepreneur if you don't want to have a six-figure tax debt but a five-figure bank account some years. Do not become an entrepreneur if you don't want to work on vacation when you're supposed to be having fun and feel the constant stress and pressure of having to make sure the machine is running, even though that machine is supposed to set you free. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are afraid to fire close friends or sometimes family that have been working for you because they just can't cut it or it's not the right fit. Do not be afraid to be an entrepreneur, or do not become an entrepreneur if you should be afraid to become an entrepreneur. Do not become an entrepreneur if you aren't willing to do the work that you're already paying someone else to do because they're not doing it well enough, and for you to release the product or the output that they've put out, you know it would be detrimental to the business. Do not become an entrepreneur if you want to stay comfortable in the things that you're already good at because you're going to have to do so many things that you're bad at, even when you hire out. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are afraid of having to be honest with yourself about why you do things. Now, there's a lot of entrepreneurs I know out there who are not very self-aware, not very honest with themselves, and it leads to a lot of pain. Do not be an entrepreneur if you are against delaying do not become an entrepreneur if you are against delaying family plans or family planning, like having kids, because the business is not in a stable position right now. Do not be an entrepreneur if you want to go, if you are afraid to go some years without health insurance. Do not become an entrepreneur if you if you are do not become an entrepreneur if you are afraid to feel scared. It's a very, very scary thing. And I'm not saying it's the scariest thing in the world, but it's pretty fucking scary. It's pretty fucking scary because you're out there pretty much alone and there's no one coming to save you. And although in everyone's adult life, no one's coming to save them, entrepreneurship is that to the max. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are afraid to not be able to buy a home or to get approved for a loan or to be able to do something because although you make enough money on paper, although you make enough money in reality on paper, it doesn't actually look that good. Or on the flip side, do not be afraid to, or do not become an entrepreneur if you are afraid to make a lot of money on paper, but not have a lot in your actual bank account. Like, it's so weird. It's like you go to apply for a rent or a mortgage and they see that you're self-employed, and that's a problem. But because it doesn't show a consistent employer income, but on the flip side of that, you're having to navigate taxes in a very specific way because to the government, you're making enough to take quite a lot. But to a normal corporation, they don't see any consistency. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are afraid to completely burn down something that you've spent weeks, months, or years working on because it's not the right direction, because it's not going to work, because people don't want it, because it wasn't the right product market fit, because the times have changed, and you have to start all over. Do not become an entrepreneur. I'm just like, not enough coffee this morning. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are not willing to invest 7 figures into a business and see it crash and burn into the ground. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are unwilling to deal with co-founders who are having mental health breakdowns and have that affect how you feel on a daily basis because you have to interact with these people all the time. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are obsessed with being right because you're going to be wrong a lot more often. Do not become an entrepreneur if sometimes you are. Do not become an entrepreneur if you're not willing to sometimes let other areas of your life slip into decay and decline because the one thing you're working on is so important that you have to see it through. Do not become an entrepreneur if you do not have an extremely high pain tolerance, an extremely high threshold for not giving up and not quitting that supersedes even what you think you're capable of today. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are looking for stability. You're not necessarily going to be stable. There will be stable years if you're doing your job right, but even the top CEOs in the world, I'm guaranteeing you just by looking at how they interact, they don't feel stable, personally or professionally a lot of times. Do not become an entrepreneur if you're unwilling to hold this cognitive dissonance in your head of being perceived as successful, while in reality, internally feeling very, very unsuccessful. Do not become an entrepreneur if you are that's all I got for today. I mean, these are all just things coming from my actual personal experience. I'm not reading off the script. These are all just things that have happened to me. That's it. Do not become an entrepreneur if you're not willing to get on camera and talk about shit. No, you know what? That's actually not true. You don't have to be creating content to be an entrepreneur, but it does help to talk about what the reality of owning a business is like, because not only is it therapeutic for me, but if you're just starting, hopefully it's informative for you, and if you're already on this journey, then hopefully it's some confirmation that you're not alone. So that's all I got for you today, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.